All right, our next guest, and I just want to say thank you. We Free Speech Fridays, and we're doing a special Free Speech Friday on Wednesday today because we're off on Friday, and we're doing that because we're happy, and this hasn't got to do anything to do with the interview. The Free Speech Union are going to continue their sponsorship of Free Speech Fridays on the platform, which is great news. But more importantly, they continue their work, and you would have heard Janet Dixon mention that they've joined the battle over the Waitangi Tribunal madness for real estate agents. But they keep an eye on everything to do with freedom of speech in New Zealand. And they put out a release yesterday about a submission or advice that has been tendered to the Justice Minister, Paul Goldsmith, from the Law Commission. And I thought hate speech was done and dusted, that we got rid of it. But no. The Law Commission has provided some very interesting advice to Paul Goldsmith, and Jonathan Ayling and his comrades at the Free Speech Union have been having a look at it. He joins us now to discuss it. Jonathan, Happy New Year to you. Nice to have you with us.
It's great to be back, Sean.
All right. What is this advice, and in what context is this advice from the Law Commission being tendered to the government?
So the Law Commission is the body that provides legal advice to ministers on ways to create better legislation. And so what the Minister of Justice, Paul Goldsmith, has said is he's told the Law Commission, I want you to create some advice for me on whether New Zealand needs hate crime laws. And so the Law Commission now is running a public consultation, and they're going to Kiwis around the country, and they're saying, what do you guys think? Do we need hate crime laws in New Zealand? At the moment, hate crime laws do not exist, but we do have an ability for judges to take into account hateful motivations when criminal acts are committed. And
when they sentence, is that when they sentence?
That's at sentencing.
So it's an aggravating factor in sentencing.
That's exactly right. So if a judge can demonstrate that, or if it is clear that there is a hateful motivation for the crime having been committed, then the judge will increase a penalty in proportion to that. And look, I think that's appropriate. I think if someone robs another person because they're starving, or someone robs another person simply because they're black or whatever, and they just think they deserve to be robbed, look, I think that breaches the social contract that we live in under in a civilized country.
Yeah, you should just rob people because you're a criminal, right?
But look, that's very different from the government going out and saying, okay, we're going to try and create hate crime laws, because the inherent problem with hate crime laws is the same problem with hate speech laws. And hate speech laws proved to be incredibly unpopular for the previous Labour government. They were an albatross around their neck, and I think we managed to prosecute that case fairly well, and we intend to do the same here, because, Sean, hate is an unavoidably, inherently subjective term. And so we need to be creating laws that are objective, that are clear.
I just want to clarify, and you've made the point clearer for me. This isn't about hate speech, it's about hate crime. How is the Law Commission suggesting that we might codify a hate crime? Have they got any ideas?
So at the moment, they're seeking your ideas. They're seeking your listeners' ideas. And that's why the Free Speech Union is mobilizing. Today, we'll be launching a website to help facilitate submissions to present reasons why we think hate crime laws are a very, very bad idea. And Sean, this isn't just speculation. Look at every other Western nation that has introduced hate crime laws. There is no logical reason to support hate crime laws but not support hate speech laws. They come from the very same impetus that the government should outlaw
different cheeks
hate.
of the same ass. I hear what you're saying.
and look, Sean, it's always, this is difficult. I hope your listeners will sympathise with the Free Speech Union on this, because the inevitable question we always get asked then is, well, why do you guys want to stand up for hate? And this isn't trying to defend bigotry for bigotry's sake. This isn't trying to go, well, what nasty people are there out there that we can come alongside. This is about saying hate is unavoidably subjective. That doesn't make it unimportant. That doesn't mean it's not a reality for many people. It means it's not something the government can simply outlaw. If it was that easy, we would have done it a long time ago. And so when the government tries to do this, it doesn't actually make hate in our society better. It almost always makes
it
hate
worse.
and social division much worse.
Yeah.
And as a result, people get beaten with big sticks by the state for thinking the wrong thing, effectively. And so,
and interesting, isn't it, Jonathan? We look at the Janet Dixon case.
That's exactly right. The Janet Dixon decision yesterday just indicates exactly what sort of context we're doing this in, and why these are such bad ideas. Equally, the Law Commission launched its consultation the day after one man and the week after another man. One man was arrested in London this week for burning a Quran. Last week, a man was shot dead, assassinated for burning a Quran. He was an Iraqi citizen who had fled because he had burned a Quran there. And look, I'm not into book burnings, really. I don't think that's the height of disagreement, but I absolutely think people need the freedom to be able to say, this is how I push back. This is how I express my dissent against the authoritarian and oppressive structures around me. And the man was shot for it. The other man has been arrested by the UK government for a hate crime. And this is exactly where we will go. Right now, there are people in Canada in prison who are there because of a hate crime, because they refuse to use the gender pronouns of their children. And it's just inevitable that this becomes an ideological program to impose on others right think and political correctness. And this is not how liberal societies function.